Can't be doing no keto. I used to buy designer clothing just to boost my ego. I'm back in the game with a reload. I've been on top like Al Pacino. When I've been doing this shit, no cheat code. From way back when they all had TiVo, I could see the vision when I would imagine a better life for my friends and family. I made it happen. Soul searching, I found a genie like I'm Aladdin. Hey, I got a passion for proving it wrong when they used to be laughing. These rappers I'm laughing, and I'm busy working while they be relaxing. My legacy lasting. I stayed in my lane and now I'm never crashing. If they want a challenge, I'm putting their body inside of a casket. Look out, I'm coming in hot when I touch down. I put in that work when the sun down. They wanted to hate, but I'm up now. What's up now? You see me, I'm one of a kind, won't beat me. I'm running it back for a TD. No, they cannot play in my league, believe me. Yeah, they wanna know how to get like me. Dream so big that I cannot sleep. Put in that time and I put in that grind. I'm the best in the world, that's all I see. Never back down, I'm standing strong. They gonna talk, but they all been wrong. What they gonna say when I keep going up? What they gonna do when I don't fall off? Look at my skills, look at my flaws. Never been perfect, I'm not a god, but I'm a GOAT. I've been the greatest whenever I spoke. Looking around and they doing the most. Whatever I touch, I turn it to gold. Tell them there's levels to be in the game. They wanna compete, but they not coming close. No, I'ma keep going again and again. Whatever I want, I'ma get. They gon' be saying they know I'm a friend of a friend. Whenever I become the best, I don't be spending my time on the internet. I just be living it out in the flesh. I don't need nothing to motivate me. Winners are never gon' wait for success. Yeah. Look at my neck, shining. Look at my bank, comments. Look at my wrist, AP. Who is the GOAT? I am. Look at my neck, shining. Look at my bank, comments. Look at my wrist, AP. Who is the GOAT? I am. Hey, got more money and I got more problems. All that I want is peace and quiet. They all been bothering me, so I gotta keep my phone on silent. No matter the outcome, already know that I always keep on trying. They wanna do business, but I gotta be a partner, not no client. I'm not like the rest, too damn smart and they still wanna test me. Move to the MIA and I'm running my team like Messi. Everyone good all around me, I'm giving out bands like candy. Not Halloween, but they still be fake, no wonder they don't understand me. I still got a long way to go, all that I do is for me, not for show. I don't like putting no pressure on me, but lately I needed it all just to grow. I had to step out of my comfort zone, give it some time and leave it alone. Now that I'm back and I'm ready for more, I'll give them a reason to call me the GOAT. Yeah. Look at my neck, shining. Look at my bank, comments. Look at my wrist, AP. Who is the GOAT? I am. Look at my neck, shining. Look at my bank, comments. Look at my wrist, AP. Who is the GOAT? I am. Feel like I'm trapped inside of my body, I'm looking around, got nowhere to go. All of these memories stuck in my mind, I don't wanna think about them anymore. Wake up at 8 in the morning and I don't want no one to tell me what I gotta do. Lately I haven't been acting myself, I'm battling demons with nothing to lose. Feel like I'm trapped inside of my body, I'm looking around, got nowhere to go. All of these memories stuck in my mind, I don't wanna think about them anymore. Wake up at 8 in the morning and I don't want no one to tell me what I gotta do. Lately I haven't been acting myself, I'm battling demons with nothing to lose. Filling my head up with doubt, I gotta go figure it out. People depending on me and I gotta deliver, I never could go let them down. Whole lot of weight on my shoulders, I've been losing balance, but keeping my feet on the ground. Taking a step at a time, I know I'll be fine, but feel like I'm starting to drown. I'm in a world of my own and nobody coming to save me. I gotta do what I can, thinking about back in the day when I would do anything just to end up where I am. Battle inside of my head is something that nobody would understand. I gotta figure it out on my own, I know that this gotta be part of the plan. Feel like I'm trapped inside of my body, I'm looking around, got nowhere to go. All of these memories stuck in my mind, I don't wanna think about them anymore. Wake up at 8 in the morning and I don't want no one to tell me what I gotta do. Lately I haven't been acting myself, I'm battling demons with nothing to lose. Feel like I'm trapped inside of my body, I'm looking around, got nowhere to go. All of these memories stuck in my mind, I don't wanna think about them anymore. Wake up at 8 in the morning and I don't want no one to tell me what I gotta do. Lately I haven't been acting myself, I'm battling demons with nothing to lose. lose. I know there's beauty inside of the madness, but I don't wanna be stuck in my ways. I gotta go and take all of my chances, hoping that maybe just one of them pays. Life is a battle of highs and lows, and lately I'm hoping to see better days. Nothing can ever be promised, but I keep on telling myself that it's only a phase. I gotta use it all to my advantage, know that I'll make it, I'm still at my best. Feel like my soul has been taking some damage, but it'll make me stronger than the rest. Already been through this part of the journey, know that I'll get up and do it again. Nobody ever be counting me out, I know that I'll be coming back with a win. Feel like I'm trapped inside of my body, I'm looking around, got nowhere to go. All of these memories stuck in my mind, I don't wanna think about them anymore. Wake up at 8 in the morning and I don't want no one to tell me what I gotta do. Lately I haven't been acting myself, I'm battling demons with nothing to lose. Feel like I'm trapped inside of my body, I'm looking around, got nowhere to go. All of these memories stuck in my mind, I don't wanna think about them anymore. Wake up at 8 in the morning and I don't want no one to tell me what I gotta do. Lately I haven't been acting myself, I'm battling demons with nothing to lose. Just made $3 million, I'm being honest. Check my bank, I see the commas like NBA, I've been ballin'. I'm about to put an AP on my wrist, did everything on my bucket list. Look in the mirror, I'm one of a kind, nobody ever gonna do it like this, yeah. In Miami it's summertime, but I still feel like I'm the coldest. Crib looking like the White House, got me feeling like I'm the POTUS. Emirates to the Middle East, like 15 hours I'm zoning. On my way to the top now, so I gotta put them on notice. I remember when I had their back, but never got nothing back for it. If I want it, I'ma go get it, I'm not the type to go ask for it. I don't care about no accolades, cause that to me is just not important. I be trying to just feed my fam, everything else I've been ignoring, yeah. Better than I was before, I don't need everyone all in my personal life. I'm trying to live on the low, they all do the most. Post on the gram every day, looking to be validated. Worry about comments and likes, but that ain't my type, cause I be winning on a daily. And I be ready for battle, it don't really matter who coming for me, cause I've been immaculate. Nobody trying me, they can't deny me. I got the heat like I'm Pat Riley. Who made it beat, you know that it's me. 100 degrees, I do it with ease. My girl foreign, my car foreign. I'm overseas like I'm world touring, yeah. I'm moving fast like a Venador, got big dreams like I'm 7'4". They ain't ever let me in the spot, so I had to go and kick down the door. They be wishing they could hold me back, but I never failed, got a top score. I'm too focused on chasing dreams, I reach some, but got a lot more, ayy. All I be seeing is wannabes, you ain't a friend of me, now you a son of me. There's a whole lot of you, there's only one of me. I've been on top of the game, I did it again. I'm never afraid, I'm going to win. They not in my lane, they all be the same. I'm chasing the millions, they chasing the fame, yeah. I just made $3 million, I'm being honest. Check my bank, I see the commas like NBA, I've been ballin'. I'm about to put an AP on my wrist, did everything on my bucket list. Look in the mirror, I'm one of a kind, nobody ever gonna do it like this, yeah. Feel like I got the weight of the world on my shoulders. Keep a smile on my face so nobody could notice. Push me to the edge, but I've been getting too close. And God give his hardest battles to his toughest soldiers. I'm alright with it, I'ma fight through it. And they never need to worry if I might do it. I'ma get it done even if I gotta fall. Dust myself off, then I'll always be moving along. Trying to live in the moment, feel like I'm always growing. But lately it's getting hard to get out of bed in the morning. Already got everything that I wanted, and now I'm back to square one. I be wondering what is the problem. Maybe I should put my phone down, think about my own health. I ain't trying to see what they are doing, that ain't no help. When you trying to reach a dream bigger than what they sell. Made it here alone, so I'm keeping to myself. The older that I get, the more that I reflect. Shit I could've done different, shit I can't accept. But I can't change the past, I gotta progress. Now I'm questioning what is the definition of success. Is it about the money, is it about the fame now? Is it about the woman, is it about the chains now? Or is it living with the peace of mind? Maybe one day I'll know the truth, but for now I'm back to the grind. All the memories faded in my mind now. Slowly losing myself, but I don't know how. I know there's a way that I can climb out. I've been getting tired of waiting, I need it right now. All the things that I've done in my life now. When I think about it, I don't ever feel proud. I know there's a way that I can climb out. I've been getting tired of waiting, I need it right now. Ayy, talk that talk, let him hear son. My lawyer came back with a deal done. Might drop 10K on a Cartier and pop champagne for the real ones. I turned my life into a motion film. Didn't go Hollywood to make a meal. I stayed the same, never popped tryna convict me at first degree. I can't go back to that life I was living. I made it out and I've been winning. I just keep going and going again. I deal with my problems, but they never end. Yeah. I've been moving like it's an emergency. They acting like they never heard of me. Well, all of the beats I've been murdering. They tryna convict me at first degree. I can't go back to that life I was living. I made it out and I've been winning. I just keep going and going again. I deal with my problems, but they never end. Yeah. They tryna copy my style, but this is a one-on-one. They tryna do what I don't, but they don't got the drive. I tell them to hang it up. I'm in the studio daily, they be complaining, something ain't adding up. I tell them send me the payment, then we can talk, cause my time is not enough. I gotta play my position, I never be chillin', I'm focused on getting the bread. She wanna pay me a visit, I tell her I'm busy, I'd rather make music instead. Nobody paying my bills, my family need a new mansion so they can be sad. I need an island so I can be all alone, then I can finally get me some rest. Yeah, I've been moving like it's an emergency. They acting like they never heard of me. Well, all of the beats I've been murdering. They tryna convict me at first degree. I can't go back to that life I was living. I made it out and I've been winning. I just keep going and going again. I deal with my problems, but they never end. Yeah. I've been moving like it's an emergency. They acting like they never heard of me. Well, all of the beats I've been murdering. They tryna convict me at first degree. I can't go back to that life I was living. I made it out and I've been winning. I just keep going and going again. I deal with my problems, but they never end. Yeah. Yeah, I'm in my prime, one of a kind. I put in the work, I put in the grind. Don't go to bed cause I don't got time. I'm moving ahead, they falling behind. Never been scared of taking a climb, and I gotta get it, I can't be denied. Nobody ever be dim on my light, cause I've been a star, it's my time to shine. Already feel like I'm one of the best, I beat all the odds, I'm playing roulette. I don't want fame, I want respect. I'm rocking a Nike cause I be getting a check. Never seen nobody like me cause there's not too many real ones left. Everyone trying to fit into the trends, I just be living the way that I want to the end. Killer whenever I hop on the beat, they showing me love since 2016. Back in the day I came on the scene, I was fed up, now I'm living a dream. Make sure my family good, all that I care about, I don't need anything more. Always been misunderstood, they thought I was crazy until I pulled up in the Porsche. Check out the resume, the numbers don't lie, the boy getting paid. I could retire today, but I got a whole lot I still gotta say. Who would've thought I'd make it this far? The sky's the limit if you working hard. I made the beat and I wrote the bars, I'm in control and I've been in charge, yeah. I've been in my prime, please don't waste my time. Got the money on my mind, I see dollar signs. If I want it, I'ma get it. If I said it, then I meant it. They be thinking it's a game, it's a real life. Tell them I make them my way to the top, I'm coming to take what's mine. People gon' talk all day on the internet, they be giving advice online. I just keep doing me for 365, I never gon' pay no mind. What they gon' tell me about my life that they done better in their own time? I'm on a different level, they can't relate. I'm prime time like a heavyweight. I've been getting ready for the takeover. I'm getting better on a day-to-day. Got bigger goals, got bigger plans. My brain power is too advanced. I never left this shit a chance. Being calculated like a math exam. I'm pushing the pace. My rollie got diamonds inside of the face. My condo got views up over Biscayne. This life got a price that you gotta pay. Watching the sun rise over the ocean, thinking about how I came a long way. Never take nothing I earned for granted, cause I know it could be gone in a day. The moment never too big for me. My competition is me only. The pressure making me more focused. The world is mine like I'm Tony. My idols turn to my rivals now. I'm making noise, they can't ignore me. I'm coming up for that spot now, cause it's my time and I want the glory. I've been in my prime, please don't waste my time. Got the money on my mind, I see dollar signs. If I want it, I'ma get it. If I said it, then I meant it. They be thinking it's a game, it's a real life. I got temptations all around me, but I'ma stay focused. I got my people depending on me, I cannot blow this. They see me coming, I'm taking their place, put them on notice. Trying to keep balance, whole lot of weight up on my shoulders. I got temptations all around me, but I'ma stay focused. I got my people depending on me, I cannot blow this. They see me coming, I'm taking their place, put them on notice. Trying to keep balance, whole lot of weight up on my shoulders. I got temptations all around me, but I'ma stay focused.
Good Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody, and especially to my co-host, Jason. Happy Tuesday to you, buddy.
Happy Tuesday, man.
It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday. It's 11 a.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but it is warm. Like,
we were just saying that in chat, was that the hardest part of this week is the heat.
The heat, man. And watching the old electric bill just cruise up.
Well, you're up there in Michigan, so like I think anything above 70 degrees, you guys are like, holy cow, heat wave.
Oh yeah, I mean we're 70 degrees for us is like perfect. You get into like 80, 85, and we're like running for shade.
So I will have to admit, like when I lived in Chicago, I do remember getting those 90-degree days. And there being all these heat warnings that would go out over Chicago where it was like, oh my God, we've got so much heat. Everybody stay hydrated. Don't stay outside for more than 5 minutes. I was insane over 90-degree heat.
Yeah. It is. I don't know. On like Sunday, we were just kind of out and about, and your head gets a little lightheaded, and you start to. And I'm like, boy, that's
the alcohol, not the heat. I'm just saying.
Oh shoot! Yeah, gosh.
That's not heat, Jason.
Oh, man.
I know.
I told you I quit, right?
No, you didn't.
I haven't had a drink since Saturday.
I fell for that one.
You did. Yeah.
I almost didn't. I was like, he wouldn't do that to me. He wouldn't do that to me. That's the worst dad joke ever.
Yeah, it is. It's sorry. No, in actuality, like I don't drink a lot of alcohol. I don't like the feeling afterwards. It really just kind of makes you feel awful. And now I'm like I've crossed the line of 40. So everything after 40, everything affects you big time. So, you want to open us up?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We gotta, this is one of those days where I love being in cyber and I love doing these types of streams, and I'll talk about that here in a little bit. Real quick, let's do rules really fast for everybody. So obviously, thanks for tuning in to Tuesday's threat stream with Jason Miller and the crew at BitLift, who tirelessly worked to put this stuff together. Real quick, let's hit some rules really fast for chat. Obviously, we keep chat free of any racist, sexist, misogynistic, elitist, and otherwise toxic behavior. We have zero tolerance for that inside of chat. With that being said, we do have our moderators in chat. Huge shout out to our moderators who it's still during their workday and they're taking time out of their workday to come make sure that chat is free of any racist, sexist, misogynistic, elitist, or otherwise toxic behavior. So really appreciate our moderators taking time out of their day to do that. Due to new Twitch rules, I can no longer acknowledge anything else other than Twitch. So I say all that to say, I see you. That's all I'll say. We do see you. However, I can only acknowledge Twitch chat due to new Twitch rules. So I know that's a whole nother ball of wax, but that's the Twitch is okay with us multi-streaming. However, I can no longer acknowledge those other streams. So
yeah, crazy rules, I know, regulations.
I know. But we do see you. Just note, we do see you. With that being said, we do, drop your question at any point in time inside of chat. I promise your moderators are there to grab the questions that you happen to have. We'll put those up onto screen, as well. And we'll get those addressed today. Today, this is our cyber threat brief. So we are focused on covering some of the latest cyber threats that exist out there. And Jason, this is I love that we're having this conversation today, and I want to share it with chat because on Fridays, you and I sync on Fridays to talk about the following stream. And on Friday, we had a plan for what we were going to talk about on stream. And then the U.S. goes and drops a bomb or a couple bombs in Iran. And then all of a sudden on Monday, you and I are having a different conversation on what we're going to stream. And I think that that's what makes cyber awesome, right?
Yeah.
Which is on Friday, arguably, we had a rather benign set of topics that we were going to talk about. And now today we've got a whole slew of new things that we're going to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I'm like, we're going to stay away from like political stuff,
Yep.
but we're going to also just focus in on like, I have, as you watch things, you know, over the last 10, 20 years, right? When physical war starts to take place, you then see other people with other skill sets, particularly in cyber, and that's what we're going to focus on today, that care about what's going on in that war and maybe have the skill sets to carry out adverse actions. And yeah,
Absolutely. And I'll piggyback on that from my days at the agency and in U.S. Cyber Command, because one of the things that I think I learned so prevalently is that cyber war, from a warfighter's perspective, doesn't look like kinetic warfare. Right? You can see bombs being dropped. You can see
Correct.
artillery being fired. You can witness kinetic warfare. But one of the things that I think makes cyber warfare so unique is that cyber warfare can either be nation state driven or non-nation state driven, and you may not necessarily know that it is cyber warfare that is happening. One more thing, and I'll flip it back over to you. I was actually I read an interesting article that talked about the scariest part about cybersecurity is that, you know, I think some of the things that we're going to talk about today, from hacks on critical infrastructure, hacks on power plants, there is no way to know whether that was nation state driven or hacktivist driven, and that could lead to a whole slew of geopolitical, world instability issues across the globe.
Yeah, and I think that's where I want to make sure that, you know, listeners today and people that may listen to this live stream later is that if you're hit with something, if you're hit with ransomware, you're hit with a DDoS attack, you're hit with something like that, you might not clearly know what this stemmed from, but you know the climate in which we're in. It was just like, you know, on Sunday, was at church on Sunday, and the air conditioner went out, and so lots of people were complaining, and I said, but it's the climate. It is the season. You know, the air conditioner isn't going to go out when it's like 60 degrees out, because you're not running it. You know, the air conditioner is going to go out when you're, 95 degrees and everybody's sweating and they're inside the building, and then there's like 600 people inside the building and all that, right?
Yeah.
And so you have to understand the climate. You have to understand the tensions. You have to understand what is going on. There's always a cause and effect.
Yeah.
And that's what I've loved chit-chatting with you about, Neal, in your past is like, you have to look at what is taking place and what people are saying, what people aren't saying. I think that just because, so like rewind a little bit, I hope that you've paid attention to the news and you realize that there were 3 nuclear sites.
Real quick before you dive into that, let me just, I saw Beardsec drop it in chat. Let me just say it for those who may not necessarily be paying attention to chat. Remember, we have zero tolerance for political discussion inside of chat whatsoever. Do not talk about politics. We can talk about anything cybersecurity related as it pertains to the events and the actions that happen. And so keep your conversations very cybersecurity specific, and do not turn this into a political chat whatsoever. That will be an instant ban for chat if you are caught talking about politics. But please, by all means, have cybersecurity related conversations and implications regarding to anything we're about to talk about today. All right, go ahead, Jason. So cover us down.
Yeah, and we want to be very careful with this. And so what I want to address is that so come back to like Neal said, Friday this hadn't happened. Saturday night, Sunday morning, the U.S. dropped bombs on 3 sites in Iran, nuclear sites. So once that happened, though, Iranian regime officials said that they were going to retaliate with the U.S. Not only physical, probably, but also the realm that which we live in, which what they explicitly called out cyber attack operations. And then this sort of unfolds like Sunday morning. I'm reading this, right, and trying to understand who is saying what and what's being said, what's not being said. And obviously, since we attacked what they would consider infrastructure, nuclear plant that is not generating electricity, but it's a nuclear plant to generate other things, right? And so what they wanted to do, or what they may still do to us, is carry out cyber attack operations against us. Now, one thing that I want to highlight that we have seen in the past that can occur is it doesn't necessarily have to be Iranian regime individuals themselves. Mm-hmm. Like you just said, Neal, it could be hacktivists or groups of people that believe in what the regime is, what their vision, their mission, and what they want to carry out. And so it can be sleeper cells here in the U.S. It could be sleeper cells in other areas of the world that could carry out cyber attacks against United States-based companies.
And let's make sure that we're absolutely clear, Jason. We are not saying that every cyber attack that you're going to see in the next, 7 days or so is unequivocally attributed to Iranian cyber activities at a point in time. Right?
Correct. Yeah. Correct. And
that's what makes attribution so challenging.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, listen, they're smart people as well, right? They're skilled. Mm-hmm. These people exist all over the globe, and they may not like what the U.S. did or Israel did in keeping them from creating nuclear materials, but they want to retaliate against maybe us, maybe Israel, that type of thing. And even they had shot missiles at the United States bases in Qatar, and Qatar even condemned it. And so here's what you have is you have these tensions taking place. When these tensions take place, they may not be in possession of artillery or missiles, but they might be in complete possession of computers, and they're able to hack, and they're able to use exploitation against us.
Well, I think we saw that almost immediately. Like one of the things that we saw almost immediately was there was an Iranian aligned hacker group called 313 Team that executed a denial of service attack on Trump's Truth Social, social media platform. So that was like, we see that low hanging fruit where, again, skill level could be argued in there as well. But almost the immediate response was, well, let's launch some DDoS attacks against, a social media platform that we know is a target of interest, if you will. Again, non-political,
Correct.
Just a target of interest. Almost immediately, we saw that type of DDoS happen against that social media site from a hacktivist group.
Yeah. And I believe the way that I read it did go offline for some period of time, but did come back up online after, the DDoS attack was mitigated. I wanted to get your thoughts on this. It was around the same time this occurred, where there was news about 16 billion passwords leaked, credential passwords leaked. You probably seen that as well. But there was like this, and what I'm trying to also articulate here is there is a lot of news that seemed to come out, at the time of this, and at least what I'm trying to do is find out, okay, what's truth and what's misinformation, right? Yeah. And what I have found out about this 16 billion credential dump, in the research that I've done, is that part of it is true. Part of it seems like there was credentials leaked and dumped. But there seems to also be lots of people, researchers, commenting in the social realms that there was a lot of duplicates.
That's right.
That were already previously dumped.
That's right.
And there was a lot of duplicate information, not only credentials, but email addresses and other info. And so you might be thinking, gosh, well, 16 billion is a lot. If you do the math, you figure out that it's really about 2 credentials per person globally.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up. I love that you brought that statistic up because I love that one because you're 100% right. Like this came out shortly before, I think early last week, and there was a lot of hubbub about it and whatnot. But this is definitely a case where when we talk about the cyber threat intelligence realm, you've got to be very, very careful. We were having a chat with somebody in pre-chat where they were talking about, hey, they were spent 2 years as a SOC, they're now in a threat intel role, and they're wondering what some of their first things they need to be concerned about was. Priority intelligence requirements is the number one thing that you need to be concerned about, because as you define these priority intelligence requirements, then you'll be able to say, okay, how do I vet cyber news that I'm hearing against those priority intelligence requirements, and rack and stack that. And so that 16 billion password thing caused a lot of buzz, but at the end of the day, ended up being a giant nothing burger.
Yeah. And so there's like, here, tap on that real quick because of your background and experience is like, all right, you've got threat intel. When CISA or DHS come out with a warning, right? What are some of you talk about prioritization and about prioritization. Yeah. Is there something you can share with that individual that like CISA comes out, DHS comes out with info? Like, how do we then deal with that?
Yeah, so I mean, I think fundamentally, and let's use this because CISA did come out shortly after these kinetic attacks with an advisor. I think CISA had a very specific advisor. You made note of it somewhere, in your notes. But CISA, CISA had a very specific, like, hey, there's a heightened sense of cyber activity that could happen when I'm building a threat program for an organization, right? Let's use BitLift as an example, just since we're talking with you, Jason, right? You're an MDR, MSSP, you've got X clients and X verticals, you've got, these types of people that you provide your critical services for. I'm looking at BitLift and I'm saying like, okay, your priority intelligence requirements are you've got to pay attention to geopolitical activities because, those types of activities could impact a large portion of your client base. If you've got, clients in vertical X, then those have a different threat model. Let's say that you're doing government work. So you've got a lot of government clients because you focus heavily on CMMC. Obviously those government clients become target number one for any type of geopolitical retribution that could happen as it pertains to these types of attacks. So now I have, I have a risk and I have a threat. Now let's talk about what the potential indicators could look like. Well, let's go research everything we can about Iranian-based hacker groups, Iranian-based APT groups. Let's look at their common TTPs. Let's look at all the MITRE attack, matrix crossovers from the ways that we know that those Iranian attackers start to look at organizations. And then I would then subsequently take that information and build here are the threat indicators that we need to be looking for BitLift to say like, okay, given what happened on Saturday, let's make sure that we're doubling down on this. Let's make sure that we've gone over our clients and looked at these types of protections. Let's make sure that we find some latest indicators for 313 and we go and we double check and make sure that we have those indicators and warnings deployed to protection systems. But at the end of the day, it all starts with what are your requirements? What are your priority intelligence requirements? And then let's go forth and put that threat model into place for you. Yeah.
And Neal, I want to remind you that you were doing all of that at a time when AI wasn't available, like, as readily as it is available right now.
You hear this, chat? I didn't bring it up. Chat. We've got him. We got him red pilled, chat.
Yep. But see, here's the thing is like all of that you just described.
Yeah.
AI can help you like automate a lot of that work.
Oh yeah.
What you just described was like a full blown a day or 2 days worth of work of human time.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And I'm not talking 8 hours either.
Yeah.
I'm talking about you're probably there in your chair at your desk, eating lunch and eating dinner, and you're spending 8 to 12 hours, collecting all of that information, and you're making the decisions up here.
Yeah.
AI now is helping you make the decisions and collaborate, bring that data together. Oh my gosh. Like, I am so thankful for the time that we live in.
Me too. So let's hit on some specific natures of the threats. Let's hit on some specific developments, because obviously we talk about this, but you are actually, I presume, Jason, you wouldn't be doing due diligence to your customers if you weren't taking a look at what happened over the weekend and asking yourself what you can do. So how are you digesting this intelligence? What are you seeing in this intelligence that is causing you to take actions, and where are we at from a threat perspective?
Yeah, so let's hop into it. Nature of the threat. They're looking for, they specifically called out critical infrastructure, which obviously falls into like oil, gas, electric grids, things like that. Those targets, as we know, are highly connected today. You've got meters. You've got, if I say the word OT, I think everybody understands operational technology. But you have to think about a lot of cases. These are run by either government organizations or municipalities, which are government organizations, but they're smaller. Oftentimes, limited skilled, meaning limited people, not that those people aren't skilled, but limited people, limited budgets, limited time, right? And so what happens is we're coming alongside of those individuals that are our clients and saying, hey, we need to pay special attention to your OT systems. Is the software updated? Let's perform vulnerability scans today or tomorrow. Can we get maintenance windows? Let's perform scans on the systems right now so that we know what today looks like in a revised. So it's a lot of heavy conversations around, like, let's pay special close attention to what is connected to the internet. Have you guys made any changes to your firewall lately? It's a review of these systems that are in place and making sure, okay, I know what I've got and I know where I'm exposed. I know where my risk is. How quickly can I shore up that risk?
Real quick, we know OT is typically very, very fragile in most enterprises. How are you balancing with your clients? Obviously, the need for speed, trademark, Top Gun, yada, 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 whatever the case is. How are you balancing that need for speed versus kind of like the delicate nature of those technology systems?
It's a tough one. You have to have the conversation of, does this need to be connected to the internet? Can we re-review our ACLs, our access control lists? Can we make sure that this is only talking to explicitly what it absolutely needs to be? Now, it should be set up correctly that way from the beginning.
Should be.
But should be. And oftentimes you catch human error, right? And so let's fix the human error right now, today, before we let this cruise on for another couple days and potentially be part of a problem.
Yeah.
But what we go into is a review and a tightening of the systems. That is everything from reviewing your ACLs and those access control lists to reviewing your whitelist and blacklist and making sure that everything is the way that it is supposed to be. Now, you can use software to do this. There's a couple software packages out there that can help you speed this process up. It can help you review your configurations and help you review. But man, I'm telling you, you want to spend some time, like, there is no better time than the present to shore up your systems. In the OT realm, I want to specifically say, if it does not need to be connected to the internet, then disconnect it from the internet. Like, I get that you want to create that barrier, right, where it's not connected, and completely have a separate network that doesn't even have access to the internet, and get it away from it. It's a risk reward. if there's very little reward and somebody tells you, well, I can control something from an app on my phone, and that helps me when I'm on the couch at 7 o'clock at night, well, we might want to give that up.
Here's what I'll say on this too, because like from my days at the agency, I spent a lot of time, on the offensive security side, focused very heavily on a lot of OT systems and critical infrastructure systems. I taught an entire class on critical infrastructure, offensive cyber. Those things are very low hanging fruit. We've seen it for years. That they have default passwords, they have unpatched systems, and just for chat's awareness, right? The reason that this exists is because you'll deploy a PLC or an RTU or some type of SCADA system into an environment, and Siemens or GE or any of these other manufacturers that do OT type systems will say, hey, listen, you can't patch that, you can't touch that, you can't do maintenance on it, because if you do, it voids your warranty and it voids any ability that we will go and support on it. And so, by the way, for us to be able to do that support, it has to be connected to the internet. Hackers know this, and especially state-sponsored attackers, especially the Iranian, elite Republic Guard, they know this. And that's what makes that low-hanging fruit of operational technology systems so easy for all attackers to gain access to, is because they have a lot of these weird business controls that make them very easy targets. And so we know that CISA came out and warned specifically against OT technologies and critical infrastructure. We know critical infrastructure is the number one target for most state-sponsored attackers. And so if you're hearing this and you're in the OT space or the critical infrastructure space, hopefully you guys have sprung into action and started to take a look at this type of stuff.
Yeah, and I want to double click on something you brought up here is that when you're doing this, and let's say for instance Siemens or whatever the manufacturer says, well, no, we have to have internet access on this. Okay, give me your 1 or 2 IP addresses, and give me your 2 or 3 ports that you're going to communicate over, and this is the only way I'm going to set this up. Otherwise, you have to find a better way. And by the way, I want SSL signed connection, and I want to make sure that my systems are only talking to your systems over these IP addresses, over these ports, and that's it.
Yeah,
I want to absolutely limit my exposure to this.
DDoS attacks are also another common attack vector. We talked a little bit about DDoS against Truth Social, but these OT systems have very, very small buffer windows. A lot of them work on ladder logic, and the amount of data that they can store and transmit is literally in the single digits of bits and bytes range. They're very, very prone to DDoS attacks.
Yeah. And you can even see, like previously, right? Well, some of the attacks that were used historically, these people want to continue carrying out these attacks. They were successful before. You're mentioning DDoS, but there's also, we'll mention ransomware because that's always a thing, right?
Yeah.
Always expect ransomware or some sort of type of wiper malware.
Yeah.
That was historically used in campaigns before.
Yep.
But specifically, I want to talk about spear phishing, right? These folks are smart.
Yeah.
They're also patient.
Yeah. Patient.
So let's be clear. You mentioned over the course of the next week, they may wait weeks or months before they carry out their full-blown campaign. They want to make sure they're talking to the right individual with the right language. They may even try and hack somebody else to get into you. So you just have to be aware, like spear phishing is still one of the major pieces today that are difficult to get around. Is when a vendor gets hacked and starts communicating with you, reads emails and everything else. That I want to mention this, and I don't know if you're thinking about this, but we had this a couple of years ago, so that's why I want to share it. We're here in Michigan. One of the vendors, one of our clients, was a vendor of a large electric utility here in the state. There's primarily 2 large utilities. Our client sold parts and components to this electric utility.
Yes,
they're electric, natural gas. They supply the whole thing, right? And there was 3 people at the company that sold parts and components to the big utility.
Mm-hmm.
It was the company that had 3 employees that didn't think that they would ever be a target, was a target.
Mm-hmm.
Their accounts got compromised through a campaign. They didn't pay very close attention to cybersecurity because they didn't believe that they would ever be attacked.
Mm-hmm.
Their 3 accounts were compromised. Their laptops were infected with malware. The malware was specifically listening and watching.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing you know, they sent invoices and paperwork over to that electric utility, and they got 6-figure invoices paid to the wrong account.
Yeah.
And so, real life, true story. I'm not divulging too much information about who the folks are, but real life story about what actually could take place. So you need to be talking to your vendors.
Yeah.
And you need to be having a careful conversation with your vendors on how are you securing your systems.
Well, I think it also goes both ways. Real quick before you piggyback on that, because you know, if you are a company and you have clients that are government clients, critical infrastructure clients, you know, contractors to other government contracting companies, like I would argue, you know, 2 to 3 levels down the line of third partyism from government work, you are probably what I would put into a risky, you know, target category, a high risk target category for retaliation from this type of activity.
Yes. Completely agree, because the smaller you are, the more susceptible you are to a cyber attack.
Yep.
You're easy pickings. I'll share this. We just got chickens recently. I think I told you, earlier this year.
Yeah.
And the statement of easy pickings, right? If you've ever heard that, is when the chicken gets off by itself. If it's off by itself alone from the flock, that is absolutely when a hawk can attack, because there's less people, right?
Yeah.
I was sitting there the other night, I was thinking about this is so true for even employees and organizations. When you are small, you're easy pickings.
Yep.
Because you don't put a lot of emphasis on cybersecurity. I hear it all the time. We're 20, 30, 40, 50 people in size. Why? And we have construction workers out on site with laptops. All they're doing is jobs and tickets, and they're supporting our client. Why should we even take cybersecurity, seriously?
Yeah.
And it goes to like, well, you have 40 people, you have assets, you have revenue, you have dollars, you have a bank account, you have to support your client, your customer that's hiring you.
Yeah.
And you need to be doing equal cybersecurity that they're doing.
Yeah. I think we've
all expose them.
We've already seen, I think just in the last 72 hours, we've seen reports of Iranian, social engineering campaigns targeting Israeli high-level officials and things like that as part of those retaliation attacks too. So these are undergoing active exploitation. I'd say active exploitation right now. You're seeing probably above and beyond your normal phishing activity as a result of this.
Yeah. Some of the orgs, I mean, I think you mentioned this, but I want to make sure we point this out. Some of the groups and orgs, APT 34, right? Using oil rig, APT 35, Charming Kitty, APT 39 is the Remix kitten, Cyber Avengers. These are all known espionage, disruption, hacktivisms that are pro-Iranian and what's going on there. And they will carry out their mission and vision, whether there's a ceasefire conversation or
So,
not.
so let's do
Right?
let's do it. You can take away from this chat, right? I would say go research your, the Iranian APT groups. Jason mentioned a few: APT 34, 35, and 39. Go research those CTPs, and you can mini threat model this yourself to make sure that you're also looking at the TTPs. This is where MITRE comes in insanely handy, is to be able to understand a lot of the TTPs that are used. And it may seem like Jason, one of the things I think when I talk to cyber professionals and they're like, well, Neal, what am I supposed to do with this? I read these 3 APT groups and they almost all start with, spear phishing stuff. So shouldn't I just pay attention to spear phishing stuff? What's the point of looking at these individual threat groups and their different TTPs? Like, how do you differentiate those when you go to put in countermeasures?
You look at their history. You want to know what are the functions and what did they carry out before, because as human beings, we are prone to habits, and what we have done historically, we will just say, well, that worked, let's modify it a little bit, and then let's rinse and repeat. That is what we see often. So yes, if it's a spear phishing, then without a shadow of a doubt, you need to know that your email systems are top notch. You also need to know that you might have to have a conversation with your employees, have a quick all hands meeting and say, listen, cybersecurity tensions are high. We're seeing these things. If you see anything that's questionable, an email from somebody that's asking you to do something that they don't normally do, blah, blah, blah. I would say a meeting with your employees and the team is critical at this point.
Yeah.
Because you need to update them and say, right now there are high tensions. Be on the lookout for anything that looks suspicious. Verify and validate before moving forward.
I think that's a fantastic point to talk about. That you're talking about communication with the enterprise. Is it overly paranoid to have some form of communication with your employees, with your enterprise, with your business that highlights, especially when CISA comes down and says we're in a heightened sense of cyber, readiness? Is it the sky is falling to do that in an enterprise?
I don't think so. I think that it is proper. I think it is healthy. One, you come out and state, hey, we're not saying the sky is falling. We're not crying wolf. But what we are saying is be vigilant. If you could emphasize being vigilant. The spear phishing emails that we have seen are really good. We're like, this is amazing. And especially with AI and the usage of AI and drafting great spear phishing emails is relatively easy for a criminal hacker. So no, I think coming out and having communication, healthy communication, that across the organization, the enterprise today is very much needed.
Yeah.
I would just say this, Neal. It's very important to know that you just can't rest on your laurels of, hey, I told you not to do that, because people do get busy.
Yeah.
They forget, and there's human error.
Well, I think this is also why we see DHS issued a warning.
Yes.
I think we've seen, I think I would imagine, I'm not in the ISACs anymore. I imagine you probably are, but I imagine the ISACs probably sent out, warnings. Do you have any, I think you've got examples of how you're sharing that comms with other folks in the industry, but also are you receiving those comms, and what other, expert type, advice are you seeing from people who are warning specifically about this?
Yeah, I mean, you're completely right. So ISAC came out, they issued a joint statement urging U.S. companies to just really bolster their defenses. And what is that? They're using generic words. They're not going to come out and say, hey, you need to update your infrastructure, because it's too specific. But they're coming out and saying, hey, guys, we are seeing activity that we absolutely have verified and validated that this is happening. You need to make sure that you are ready to defend yourself. Obviously, because CISA, DHS, and everything else can't come and defend all of the private organizations and even public organizations that exist across the U.S. There isn't there isn't that bandwidth there, that resource there. But what they can come out and say is hey, you need to be ready.
Yeah.
And they're citing Iran's history of targeting critical infrastructure from the past. And they're actually saying this is what we've seen in the past.
Mm-hmm.
There are notes on this, right? I mean, I don't want to regurgitate necessarily something that somebody else can go and read for themselves. But, and like you said, I would highly recommend that you go and you do your own research on this and inform yourself.
Yeah.
You probably will find yourself, spend 30 minutes to an hour today and become highly informed.
Yeah.
And probably even you mentioned this before, but aligning this with MITRE attack framework and also aligning this to your organization. This is going to be customized to you. Hey, do you have Cisco? No, I don't. I have Fortinet.
Right.
Or I have Checkpoint.
Right.
And so you need to go and know what you have and align the threatening activity to your organization.
One of the things that I don't want to sound the rear view mirror gun, whatever, too loud, right? But most organizations will see or at least my experience has been, most organizations will see something like this, and they'll be like, oh my God, what do we do? And I think that the hard part about answering that question, my thought process is, or the way that I've always tried to approach answering that question is, if you don't understand what your threat model is, if you haven't done any type of threat assessment, if you don't understand who's likely to target you or where your weak parts are, where your core assets are, where your crown jewels are, if you don't understand your business from a threat perspective, it makes it really hard for you to look at something like this that's happened and go like, okay, how do I respond to this?
Right. Do you have anything in your background that you could share with how you guys responded back in the day when you were at the three-letter organization?
Why do you have to say back in the day like I'm old? Jesus Christ.
Sorry. Because you do have an amazing background. So it was
It was a little while ago. So shut up, Beardsec. There's not a really good answer to this, and I'll use one of the private companies that I was at, early on in my career. It was a Fortune 100 company, and it was the company that I was at, when WannaCry hit, right? And
fun times,
and that's probably the next closest thing to that kind of conversation, right? Because, there was a lot of questions as to who started it, how did it originate, was it, state driven or was it not? Did it get out of hand? Whatever the case was. And the things that helped us, I think, be ready to respond to WannaCry, and this is going to sound like the most boring, cybersecurity work ever. But having good response procedures, having good crisis management procedures across the organization, having done tabletop exercises. I saw Callie say, right, this is not a tabletop exercise, what we're living in right now. This is not a tabletop exercise, what we're living in right now. But this is exactly why when you and I talked about tabletop exercises, this is why you do tabletop exercises like this. Because done correctly and having good crisis management procedures makes it really easy to get everybody on board with okay, how do we focus and how do we kind of mitigate this type of threat? I don't want to say things like having good software and hardware inventory, because those things are notoriously hard for most organizations to accomplish, but at least understanding your business enough to be able to answer the simple question, does your business need to care about this? And that may sound like a super easy question for some folks to answer, because I think, Jason, I don't know how you feel about this, but I think some people in our industry think that they need to care about everything that happens in the cyberspace. And the reality of the matter is you do not have to care about everything in the cybersecurity space. And you should really be diligent when you ask yourself, should I care about this? And you should be comfortable with it's tangential. I may not necessarily need to care about this specific thing right here.
Yeah. And I've always been very careful about the words I don't care. It's not that I don't care. It's just that I don't necessarily have time to put my headspace over there.
Yeah.
Right. And think about that when there's all these other higher value stuff that I need to put my headspace towards. And then I would look to the other person and say, I need you to put your headspace towards that.
Yeah.
Because I'm over here doing this. But I want to double click on something that I had written down in my notes, and I had cruised right past it, which was like, I want you guys to know, we have seen and heard from people say service accounts. This is a time where, when, on past streams, we talked about credential dumping and, when somebody does get access, or we hear about credentials being dumped and yada, 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 right? All of the stuff. If your AD had ever been dumped before. And so one thing that we have seen and heard recently is people not changing passwords on service accounts. They not applying MFA to service accounts.
But Jason, how am I supposed to share my password with 15 other people if I put MFA on a service account?
There's a thing called a password vault, and you share the password through a password vault. I mean, there's several password vaults that are good today, and that you can share it within a group of people.
Yep.
That's safe.
Yeah.
And you can also share MFA. You can also have MFA applied and share the MFA code with a group of people.
Yeah.
But at least you know that it is in one spot and it's shared with a group of people. But when you think about it, we ask, well, what's the thinking behind this? Well, like you mentioned, we have a group of people. We don't want the MFA code just going to one person's cell phone. Okay, there's a fix to that. So-and-so set that up, that service account. If we change the password, we're afraid it's going to break the software. It is part of an OT or a PLC. Put some time towards that.
Yeah.
You need to change that password. That password hasn't been changed in 3 years. It's controlling, OT/PLC systems. And what if the password's leaked?
Yeah.
You have something that has admin credentials and special credentials and permissions to the organization.
Yeah.
And we aren't applying standard policies and procedures to it. We got into a little bit of a discussion with somebody that said that they didn't want to pay for security, essentially,
at all
for their service accounts.
For the service accounts.
For the service accounts. And I said, well, wait a minute. Aren't your service accounts have admin privileges? Don't they have special permissions to the systems? Because they are a service account and they have special permissions to make that software run correctly.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't we pay to secure them? I was just baffled at that.
Did they eventually pay to secure them, or were they just like, thanks, have a nice day?
They were thanks, have a nice day.
Wow. And that is why those are low-hanging fruits, chat. That is exactly why that is low-hanging fruit right there.
Yeah. And I'm like, this was the mentality. Like, if you remember, I don't know if you ever experienced this, probably about 10, 12 years ago, had an organization that was a municipality, and they had, I think, about 25 or 30 people, and they only wanted to pay for endpoint protection on the 25 to 30 endpoints that were issued to people. They didn't want to pay for the security software, the endpoint solution, on their servers.
Yeah.
Because they didn't feel like their servers were a risk.
Right. They don't have people logging into their servers every day. Yeah.
Except for the IT,
right?
The MSP, that was the IT company, that logged in, and I'm like, but wait a minute, your crown jewels are on the servers.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't we protect those and pay for it?
Yeah.
I was just baffled at like the mentality, and I struggle. I'll tell you what, my cards are fully open here on this.
We've hit a soapbox for Jason. All right, Chad. That's what we found. Jason's soapbox.
I struggle to convince those people because I have a hard time thinking about that. It's like that you have a hard time thinking about securing where your crown jewels are actually placed, your data, your people,
your
software. Like, wow. Not sure if you ever experienced that, but I think it's changed in the last 10 to 12 years. But it like,
Yeah, it's I mean, like I think, like, we talk a lot about critical infrastructure, and I think the reason we hit so hard on critical infrastructure is because, and I saw somebody mention medical devices, because I think it's in that same campaign where there's going to be people who are going to tell you you can't patch it, you can't secure it, you can't touch it, you can't do any of that stuff. And what they're really saying, and what I don't think people hear when they're really saying it, is, I am mandating that you leave vulnerable stuff for you to be easily hacked in the hands of attackers so that they can get access to it, but also so that I can have easy access to do my job, right? Type of thing.
Yeah.
I have an equally harrowing story, although it's more capitalist than it is critical infrastructure related. I'd done an assessment for a company who had a manufacturing line that manufacturing line made them $10 million a day, manufacturing a piece of equipment. And the very first computer on the manufacturing line was literally a Windows NT box that was given to them by the manufacturer of the software that was used to print the barcode on the first piece of equipment that was produced. That if that machine stopped working for whatever reason, would not only shut down the entire line, but would cost them $10 million a day. And if that computer were to be destroyed through a wiper virus or ransomware or something like that, there was no way to recover it because that software manufacturer had gone out of business. And, it was connected to the corporate network, and, the network was relatively flat, and it was really easy to find that box. And a lot of that was
flat networks.
Well, this goes back to one of my pet peeves, which is people who use VLANs as a way to create, sub-network infrastructure without actually having any inter-VLAN routing rules.
Oh,
yeah, exactly. But yeah, similar is there's all sorts of business decisions that are made in the case of usability, where I don't actually care about the security, is the answer that you get from folks.
Yeah. One of the things that as we're talking about Iran and the U.S. and the tensions and things are going on here, that shoring up your network is a major focus at this moment.
That you should have done before the attack, but now that we're here,
and this is not a tabletop exercise, one thing that I would, and we actually do tell our customers, and we're working with them to do this, is look at your network traffic, making sure that your network traffic, whether it's either on-prem or cloud-based, there are tools to help you do this in the cloud, seeing network communication, and making sure that the network traffic is what it's supposed to be. One example that I'll give you is not too long ago, we had somebody call us and say, hey, bought this device, got this device, put this device on the network, everything looking good. And we said, well, why is it communicating with this third world country?
Oh no.
Why is it doing that? Well, company said it in order for the device to work, it has to communicate with its, cloud service. But however, the cloud service was pre-programmed IP address to, that location. I'm like, do you have any insight into what information is being passed to that cloud service, from this device? No, we don't get visibility into that. I'm like, well, I probably wouldn't take this risk. If I were you, I would think about sending this device back, right? and then you underscore whatever that device is.
Yeah.
So looking at your network and making sure that your network traffic is tight.
Yeah.
You know where you have data traffic coming in and going out to, and you have verified it.
Yeah.
Hugely important.
And that can seem daunting, folks, but utilize the tools you've got. If you've got a proxy in place, if you're using something, and not an advocate for any piece of technology, but similarly, if you're using something like a Zscaler or a Cloudflare, type of activity, you can usually do some monitoring and at least do some geographical understanding of where your traffic is coming in and going out to.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can use tools at your disposal, and they don't even all have to be very expensive. To help you find out what traffic is on your network and what it is. I mean, you could find that out pretty quickly. I would say within hours. I mean, that is a very it sounds daunting, but it's actually pretty easy to do.
All right, so everybody's walking away from this stream. They're like, all right, today's going to be my day that I'm protecting against retaliation, against Iran and Iran-based hacktivist. Obviously, we could potentially look to some second and third order type of threats that could be of interest. If you look around the corner, what would kind of be, are we worried about escalation? Are we worried about collaboration? Where do we think the around the corner threats could be if we're looking at next week, next month, type of thing?
Obviously, I would be paying very close attention to email. Streams ago, we talked about DNS, and we also talked about email and shoring up your email systems. Everything from your SPF record, everything from your SPF records to your DMARC to DKIM, making sure that your email systems are tight. I would also be making sure this is a time where MFA, you should go look and just double check. MFA should be applied 100% across all identities. You have to keep your identities safe and secure. And then the one that it has been used in the past by Iranian hacktivists, I'll call them, or organizations, groups that are pro Iranian. They did exploit vulnerabilities. So you need to know which vulnerabilities your organization has today. And then ask yourself, okay, put yourself in the criminal's shoes. How am I going to protect myself if I were to exploit this? So that's a big ask of yourself, is just making sure that you can defend your organization from an attack if that exploit that exists in your environment is used.
I think I like all of those. I would double down. My time at the agency, right? The Iranian Republic Guard was obviously somebody we were constantly watching from a threat perspective. They are smart. I wouldn't necessarily call them sophisticated, but I would call them smart. They are very, very mission driven. They are very, very resourceful. From a cyber perspective, and so I think I can remember. I can remember one time early on when the IRGC was really, kind of in its infancy from a cyber perspective. They really wanted to get a message out, and so they got really, really good at looking for, beat the patch type of exploitation on WordPress sites, where then they would go out and deface a whole bunch of WordPress sites to get their propaganda out. And so, that type of, that's how you need to be thinking about these threats, is if you've been a little bit complacent on, patching some easily exploited vulnerabilities, if you've got some very susceptible, folks who are very susceptible to phishing campaigns, if you're in one of those targeted industries, the IRGC, if they point their lasers at you, have gotten very, very good at that rapid, fast exploitation of low-hanging fruit.
Yeah. And, this is some usage here. I mean, you could choose to use some playbooks and runbooks inside your organization and some AI. Ask, if you've got these capabilities, if you're using a SIM, if you're using a log management tool, ask your system, hey, I've never seen this IP address work with my network before, or my software and systems.
Yeah.
Alert me on any new IP addresses that interact with my system, right? Because, those are some low-hanging, well, that's a little bit higher fruit, but, if you've got that capability in your environment, I would definitely go there.
Absolutely. We had one question from chat that I thought was worth your input on before we call it, Jason. Giraffe Waffle. I love the names that show up in Twitch. I work for a small electric repair company. Any advice on where to start keeping the company and the customer's electronics safe? Jason, I feel like this is right up your realm, right up your alley. You want to pine upon this?
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I would do is if you're going to hold data or information, and I'm assuming that's what this means. This isn't physical, but this is digital information. You can hold it in the cloud. There's no harm there. We hold a ton of data in the cloud, like a lot of other companies do, but you just have to make sure that the data that you're holding for that company, it is triple safe. So I mentioned password vaults, Amazon Web Services or Microsoft Azure, or I'll stick with those two because they have the systems, and these are just examples, folks. But they have the systems in place where you can make sure that the data is MFA'd. You can make sure that you can permission level only the person that's supposed to have access to this data can get to this data. But I can't stress enough, if you have data on your customer or your client or a consultant or a third party, it is your responsibility to keep it as safe as possible.
100%.
That is your responsibility. If they find you negligent and you go to court over it and you're found negligent, it could end up costing you. And I'm not trying to be scary there. I have seen and read of organizations that have been sued and have won for negligence.
Absolutely. 100%. I'd double down on what Jason said. Identity, data protection, and endpoints. If you wanted a 3-step checklist, like I would say that's what Jason's talking about. Identity, endpoints, data security. Focus in on those 3 areas.
Yeah.
Jason, amazing stream today. We're at the top of the hour. I just want to reiterate to chat. This is why our industry is so awesome. Jason and I had a completely different agenda on Friday, and then lo and behold, the world changes around us. This is also, and I'll make this pitch, threat intelligence is a challenging aspect of what we do in cybersecurity. But as you can see, threat intelligence is what drives our ability to prioritize and drive remediation for cyber events that happen around us. And so, if you're curious about threat intelligence, feel free to hop into the Discord, ask some questions inside of there. Obviously, Jason and the BitLift team have got their ears to the ground when it comes to threat intelligence perspective. And so feel free to reach out to Jason and the team at BitLift if you have questions about this as well. Fucking exciting time to be alive, Jason.
It's awesome. I mentioned before the stream, this is fun.
Yeah.
And that might be taken the wrong way, but you know what? Like, we get the opportunity to do what we love to do on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And I hope that you have that same sentiment, if you're listening, watching to this stream. If you don't consider this fun and you're not doing what you love, I would definitely advise you to move on to something else. Because the world is going to change on a daily basis. And I was snickering or laughing inside when you were talking about keeping your ear to the ground, because I'm like reading all the time.
Yes.
Like the problem for me is getting the device or the laptop away from me. But otherwise, like, I'm reading all the time, and it's on threat intel. It's on what's going on. It's like who's creating a new detection methodology. Yep. It's like all of these folks. And so that's what I'd really recommend you to do is, you know, stay vigilant, read. There's garbage out there. Take it as that. And then there's some really great stuff. And when you come across some really great stuff, you know, file it away, you know?
Absolutely. All right, Jason, you want to sign us off for the day?
Yeah. Hope you guys all have an awesome day, awesome week. We'll see you again in 2 weeks with up-to-date, real-time threat intelligence briefing. And appreciate you guys.
All right. We'll see y'all next time.
Take care.
Something's going on. Tell me what you want. Tell me what you want. I'm living in the most important days of my life. I'm not looking for the wife, I'm just looking for the night.